Este Stongo, Gary Fife, welcome to our program, Emvpanayv. We have the outgrowth of Mvskoke Radio, and we're doing our discussions here with cameras and everything, and another step forward. We have as our subject the council oak tree in downtown Tulsa. And joining me right now at the moment to talk about it is Galen Cloud, and he's got some stories that go back to the preservation of that tree. And then later on in our program, RaeLynn Butler will be joining us also. But first of all, Mr. Cloud, or would you prefer Galen?
Galen be fine.
Okay, I just want to make sure now. Screw up enough names as it is. Maybe we should start with what the tree is and what it means. What does it represent as kind of a starting point?
Well, the story that we were talking about a while ago, it was the council tree has been there for, I want to say, over 200 years. For during our removal, when we first got here, the ashes were put around that tree, and from the Louisville Boulevard. That's through history, that's how Tulsa got the name Tulsa there. The story about growing up, I my grandmother Nellie Jones and my great aunt Wetsy McNack. She had my grandma used to tell me stories about that tree, and I remember one time. She had said that I can't remember what year it was, but it had snowed really good up there in Tulsa, and I was in probably my teens, and my grandma had went up there, and at that time Wetsy had went with her, and I believe my older cousin was driving the car for them, and they went up to where, over there on Butler where the council oak tree is at, and she said she wanted to see it, and so she drove by there, and Wetsy was born in 1901, and Wetsy just spoke the Mvskoke language, and so did my grandmother, and when they tell that story of when they went up there to go look at it, it was fascinating to me, because she said when she got up there, she said nobody didn't have to tell them that was that council oak tree. She said they knew, because when they got up there, the storm had tore down limbs on other little oak trees around there. The bigger ones, or maple trees, or what trees was around there. She said the storm, the snow had torn the limbs down, and there was debris around. But she said as they looked north, and when they was driving, she said they knew that was that tree, because the snow that was still on there and the limbs that were bent down, but there was no debris on there. There was no broke limbs or nothing that was falling underneath there. And she said as she drove by, she thought about how strong that tree was, just as the Mvskoke people that first put the ashes there, and the ashes that were there were from the fires from our own homelands. And she said that being a part of that, it shows how strong our ways are, and that tree absorbed all of that, so it stands strong to this day. And so I remember that. I remember that story that she had told, and I shared that with RaeLynn, and also my kids that ask about the council.
Let me ask you now a more basic question. First of all, do you know what kind of oak it is? Could you describe it? Where is this little park located in Tulsa?
Well, it's right there on the. I don't know the specific address, but I know RaeLynn will know that when she joins us. But it's right there on Boulder. The oak, it's a very big tree. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a post oak. There's a variety of oaks that we do have, but I want to say I think it's a post oak. Is what it is. So it's just a big. When you see it, you just stare at it for a long time. That's when I first seen it. It's I just looked at it and when you see it, all these emotions or all these visions come to you. Like you see it and you're standing there like, wow, how many you're thinking how many of our ancestors stood here at the same place looking at this tree, or how many of our ancestors touched this tree, or the footsteps around it. It's remarkable that just to see it.
Well, right now it's on kind of a corner lot down on Boulder, and there's a small wrought iron fence that's been put up around a tree and across the street in a little park area. So that's kind of what you'll see when you get there. But I wasn't really familiar with it as a child. I mean, we weren't taught anything about it in school. And then later on, as I became more involved with the Mvskoke Nation, we began to hear about it and see photos and things, and I've kept telling myself I have to go see this tree myself. And my impression was when I saw it is age. I mean, a couple 100 years there, but it stands so straight, and then the limbs are very big and strong, and it just wraps itself around sort of above rather that particular little park area. And I got this feeling of strength and history and of course pride. Just thinking, there have been so many attempts, I think, to get rid of us, but this tree symbolizes our ability to persevere, endeavor to persevere, as Chief Dan George said. And we were still there, and in spite of the attempts to get rid of it or change it into something else, it was still there, and the Sahekis had to recognize, the importance there. Now, what was your first impression when you saw that tree again?
Well, my first impression was I've always, like you said, it's not in the history books or anything like that. I mean, it's the history of the Mvskoke people, and it's an oral history to us, and that as Mvskoke people, that's how we learn. We see things, and then we're taught things, and things from our elders. As I was standing there, like I was saying earlier, when I first seen the tree, it was remarkable to see, because you're standing there and you're thinking, wow, just think how many eyes has seen this tree before. How many of our elders has walked through here and maybe said a prayer, maybe sung songs, or or talked to this tree, and it's just fascinating to be there, and it's a part of us, and to me, just as my grandma said, our beliefs, our ways, we're as strong as that oak tree, and it shows to this day.
Did you touch it?
No, I didn't get a chance to. Yeah.
Okay, neither did I. RaeLynn Butler, the Cultural Preservation Office, is joining us now. Welcome. I appreciate you making time. I guess busy schedule to keep you going there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Galen and I were just chatting about a little bit about the meaning and the reactions we got when we first saw this tree. So I'd kind of like to ask you the same questions, and we'll talk about more of the contemporary news and the things going on. Now, first of all, how would you describe that tree in your personal experience?
That's a strong tree, and that's a powerful tree. I've been told that, they picked that spot because of that tree, but also that people have been protecting it, and that they put, Halishwa with that tree to help it and to keep it protected. And I think, the windstorm that we had last year, 90-mile-per-hour straight winds, everyone thought about the council oak tree that next day, and it was still standing strong, and I think that's a testament, Another thing about that tree is it's thought to be a champion tree.
Champion.
Yeah, meaning it's the tallest, it's the oldest, it has the biggest reach, biggest base in the county, and
Wow.
and in Tulsa County, such an urban city, that it is a champion. And so the Oklahoma forestry, or the foresters in every state, will go out and check those champion trees, and there are people who go out and search for them because they want to get their name to say, I found a champion. And it's for each species. And so that is a post oak type of oak tree.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard stories even from Kenneth Johnson, Mvskoke artist, saying that he had a relative that was in the hospital in Tulsa, and they told him, can you just go get a little branch or stick from that tree? I think it'll help me, because it helped our ancestors. And so I think there is a sense of power and respect for that council oak.
Right, that sort of echoes the discussion that we just had about it's much more than a tree. You can, when I saw it, I kind of sensed the power there, and its age and strength, and
yeah, it's also
sense of
thought that
pride.
it was probably 200 years old when we came in
Wow.
1836, so that it's pretty old.
Uh-huh. Now, where is the specific location of the park?
Is at 17th and Cheyenne.
Okay, and that's a neighborhood pretty much above the hill of another city park down there, and a little memorial or celebratory park has been set up with stickball players in it and bronze statues and things like that. Now, every year, for how long has this commemoration been taking place? Do you recall?
The first Council Oak ceremony was in 1986, and that was the 150th anniversary of removal.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lochaboga came in 1836, and so it was 150 years after that that there was a decision that the nation to have some kind of ceremony there to recognize and honor those who were on the survivors of the trail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been to about 2 or 3 of the ceremonies now, and a wide variety of Mvskoke people show up and supporters, and all carry the same feelings, I think. Whether or not they could describe it or discuss it, or talk about it in terms. But the sense I always get is that, I'm so proud this thing is here. And a tangible, living part of our history is right here, and the city of Tulsa has to recognize it. Now, that hasn't been a smooth relationship between our tribe and the city, and so there have been attempts to perhaps to remove it or change its status and things like that, but there's always been defenders, people who oppose any change. I understand there was a crew sent out to cut it down once upon a time, and members of that crew recognized what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you were telling me that story a little earlier, and perhaps we'll repeat it, but when we get out there, they've got this little fence around it and things like that, and I spoke to one of the city people, and he said, yeah, if you go in, if you can get up close and take a look, there are lightning rods now that have been inserted into the trunk of the tree to help protect it from lightning storms and things like that. Are you aware of that sort of thing?
Yes, but from what I understand, it's not grounded.
Okay.
So it's not really being protected.
Uh-huh.
And the neighborhood there, the Riverview Neighborhood Association, has taken a big interest, and they really care about the park and the tree. And they've recently developed a committee for those who want to help try to bring awareness and really work with the city of Tulsa to urge them to do better maintenance and care. One of the main things that the new committee, and I joined the committee also, and they are looking for more Mvskoke people who are interested in joining. So if anyone is interested, please reach out. The more the better. I think, us working with the neighborhood to, ask the city, to do better care and maintenance is going to go a long way. Or give the park back to us.
Yeah, it's a good point to jump in here because we've had some questions in the chat. T.Y. Pearl asked, any plans to refurbish the fire monument? Kenneth Johnson's artwork installation at Council Oak Hospital could provide inspiration for much needed update. That's one. And then he also asks, any plans to save acorns to grow more, just like the proposed peach orchards? And I'll let you get whoever wants to field those.
I think those are great ideas. We definitely should save some of the acorns. I heard people have in the past, and even some of the people in the neighborhood have. We should grow them out and have some more oak trees that we could plant.
Return it to the forest.
Yeah. And the other question about, what was the other?
The refurbishment.
Oh, I know Dan Brooke was the artist who made that monument, and it is aging. And the city of Tulsa said they have no funds to, it was a gift basically to them once it was made, and that they just don't have it in their budget to repair it. But I think that doesn't mean that Creek Nation couldn't assist or somehow help fund a project to do that. I know in the past there were engravings and things marked on the flame, and we had some folks go out and try to buff it out, but then it discolored it, and so I think there should be some kind of restoration on the monument.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate development. Many of the landmarks and other notable places around our state have now been defiled by vandals or graffiti artists, some jackass with a spray can, The thought that maybe the tribe ought to take it over is really very promising. Or I would say it was promising, but it's the best idea I could think of. Would we have to place it in federal restriction status, make some sort of official move to say, okay, it is part of the reservation, but this is a special place that should be honored. Galen?
Yeah, I think to me what you were talking about really, I think the tribe needs that. I think we need to. Who is the better caretakers than we can? I mean, we have a special connection to that tree, not also to that tree, but to that land. It's if you nothing saying about these deheckies up there, the officials up there, but it doesn't mean as much to them as it does to the Mvskoke people, who can be better caretakers than us. Yeah, I see it that way.
RaeLynn?
I agree, and I think, if the city isn't going to fulfill its duty to take care of it, and even in a co-management kind of style, that they really should just return it to the Mvskoke Nation. And I can see us, developing a management plan, or even hiring 2 or 3 staff that would, help protect and keep up with the park.
Mm-hmm. Now, that seemed like it would be such a simple thing, perhaps, to have Mvskoke Youth Group go up there a couple times a year and make sure that everything is okay, clean it, mow the lawn, whatever else. Or seniors group, there would seem to be plenty of opportunities for the tribe to do that I would think, with a minimal expenditure,
Yeah, I was going to jump in too, guys, because we're having a lot of questions about can this be done and can that be done. We might give the audience some idea what the Creek Nation can do there, if anything. Like what abilities does the nation have? Do we have any say over the park's upkeep or anything like that? Just so people know, because they're asking, can we take this bench out and stuff? You know what I mean? Like, give them an idea, because they might have a misconception that the nation owns the land or something like that.
Well, basically, it's a city of Tulsa property and park, and we would have to get permission to do anything, like change anything or update. We have reached out in the past about updating the signage because the sign is peeling and it's not in the best shape. There used to be a sign on 15th Street in Cheyenne saying, a block this way or 2 blocks this way is the council oak tree, and that sign only had one leg at one point and just fell over and was never replaced. And so, we have to work with the city to get permission to do the things we want, but I don't think it should stop us from getting together and having these ideas and taking them to the city and seeing what they're going to do.
Yeah, it seemed like a strong argument for that activity would be, if you're not going to do it, we're more than happy to do it. Just give it back and let it go. It's that much less that the city has to worry about. It's kind of a hard line you might have to say, but I don't know, would something like that go along in our political atmosphere as we've got it? We've got a governor that is giving us a really hard time. Yeah. Even the Tulsa mayor, Bynum, has kind of joined that bandwagon in some sense. So, if you guys aren't going to do it, then let it go and we'll do it. I mean, has anyone ever taken that line with the city?
The Greater Indian Affairs Commission in Tulsa has, made that same statement. Well, let's just give it back to Creek Nation if the city parks can't, maintain it.
Yeah.
And I think that, they have just said that the funding is an issue, and they have, I think, over 36 parks in Tulsa that they're trying to manage. So yeah, I think we should just make the request.
Yeah, I mean, take it off of their budget worries or their line items or responsibilities, and then.
And the neighborhood is supportive and want to be a partner.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I mean, is there any opposition to that sort of thing that you're aware of? I mean, like a neighborhood association or somebody saying, "No, we ain't giving nothing back to them Indians."
I haven't heard any. I mean, from what I've read and what I've seen on social media, I mean, everybody was encouraging around that area. And it's whenever when we go back to '86, the one thing that pops in my head is a picture of I seen it on social media one time, and I forget who shared it, but it was during the Council Oak, and this was years back. But it was a picture of all the Mikos, all the ceremony Mikos, all lined up, and majority of them are not here no more, and they're all facing. I want to say they were facing the oak tree. That's a powerful picture. I mean, if you look at that, and you can just see it's just hard to describe that picture. I mean, you can just see the love that they have, in the sternness and just the stoic picture of them. And like I said, majority of them was not there, but they were there. But they were there because they knew what the history of that tree. There's still some that still attend. We still have our old Mikos that still go out there, and there's just a few of them from that picture that's left.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, in the ceremonies I've seen, there was a young boy who came out and made the call. Mm-hmm. He sung it out in a perfect Mvskoke as far as I could tell, and I said that's a wonderful beginning to this discussion today, this presentation today. So, can we extend that even further? Does Light Horse go through there and protect it? I presume it's part of their responsibility, but are you aware, either of you aware of them taking any extra measures?
I know after the storm, Chief Hill asked Chief Phillips, please go check on the tree, have some of your guys go check, and that they did. But I don't know if they do regular drive-bys or anything.
Yeah, it would be nice to know.
But we could ask them, yeah.
Can I jump in real quick with a question of my own? Because our other guest, Mr. Chris McCabe, I don't know if he's going to show up, but he was saying that you had been put on their committee for their council tree. Could you talk a little bit about that so the audience has some idea?
Sure. So the Riverview Neighborhood, they have been kind of doing some grassroots efforts in getting support, funding to, what they were kind of calling it beautify the park. So there used to be really nice flower beds and plants of traditional Mvskoke that were labeled in Mvskoke language. And all of that kind of has died off, and so they wanted to see it improved, and so they formed this committee, and they sent an invitation, and so we definitely need to have Creek Nation representation on there and helping work on this committee, and so I joined. We probably formed only 2 months ago, and we meet twice a month. And there are, I think, 5 or 6 representatives from the neighborhood there that are on the committee. And each one of them cares so much about the tree. They're looking after it every day. And I think that was really, and one particular lady who lives right across the street has a long history of her mother helping protect a tree in the 70s. She's actually a descendant of her great-great-grandpa was on the Dawes Commission. And so it's really interesting and neat to see that kind of history still connected, because everybody knows the Dawes Commission and the land allotments and how impactful, that was to the nation, and how all those allotments in Tulsa were taken and stolen and lost, and so it's just so much history there, and I think it's good to work with the local community who have eyes on the ground and are kind of like watchdogs, ready to step in and help in any way that they can, and they really want to bring awareness. The committee there they went around downtown and they took a video asking people on the street, do you know what the council oak is? And a lot of people had no idea. They didn't know what the name Tulsa, where it came from, and so they've done a lot of awareness on their own. And I think what's good now is that the tribe is involved and we're helping them, and they're going to be working with them to make sure that the nation's voice is included in some of these efforts. But one of the main things we talked about so far is getting a professional arborist or somebody who really knows trees and come and assess the health of this tree, to just check on it, see, make sure it's doing okay, or what their recommendations would be, so that we could, work on that to help it live forever.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully save a few sprouts and bring them back.
And we're willing to fund that, but again, we have to get permission from the city, and our arbor care, folks might help and be involved with that assessment too.
Now, I understand there are some of the Chamber of Commerce type brochures, excuse me, that actually feature a photo of the tree among the highlights, that shall we say, of the landmarks here in Tulsa. And many of the visitors who come to our city are specifically looking for Native American connections, and the tree is brought forward in that sense. Now, that would be a good starting point, I think, and to jump off and say, look here, Mr. Biden, you guys are trying to, feature this as part of your history, but you're not putting anything into it. So, either, forgive my language, but either put up or shut up, I think, is kind of where we need to take that. And of course, we'll probably get some backlash from different segments, but what's the future? What's the current status now? Is it just another park there in Tulsa? Is anyone taking this specialized examination any further? Do you hear anything? Have you discussed that, or is it going to have to be all up to us?
I think, it's just the beginning stages of us trying to, make progress on the management side, to be active and involved in that. I know that there are folks in the community have thought we should make it a national landmark, which is a good goal, but it's something that takes a long time, to get there. You'd have to get permission from the Congress would have to, vote on that and sign that into law.
Well,
and if we can't even have a speaker,
forgive me,
it might take a little bit longer to get something through there to do that. But the process, because it's already on the National Register, the tree and the park, so it has national significance, and then with that also requires consultation. So the city of Tulsa could never just cut the tree down without consultation with the Creek Nation.
I think a higher power would have to take care of that.
Even if they sold that land or traded it to somebody, that would still be an undertaking under the National Historic Preservation Act, which would require consultation. So we know that they can't do anything drastic like that because of the status, but I don't but again, neglecting it is not good either. Yeah,
With Secretary Deb Haaland in the position of Interior Secretary, would that be a useful route to go and gain her support in trying to push a measure into Congress?
Oh yeah, she would have to sign off on it and approve it first before it went to Congress. We know
support, I think.
Yeah. If we could get her to Tulsa, we'll take her to Council Oak.
We had a question pop up, guys. T.Y. Prohl's asking, any thoughts on the city creating a First Nations destination district that would include parts of Maple Ridge, Riverview, 18th and Boston businesses, Council Oak Elementary Park, and Dreamkeepers?
Pretty much the city of Tulsa, man. I don't know. I'm not aware of anything like that.
Not officially. I haven't heard. I know, the Greater Indian Affairs Commission at Tulsa has a park committee, and they have been working on Dreamkeepers Park. They want to update that park. They want to have gardens for Osage, Creek Nation, and Cherokee, the three tribes that have boundaries in Tulsa. Have some kind of big monument that people want to go take their picture by, something to really honor tribal nations in the city of Tulsa. And so they have design plans and everything, and they kind of want to incorporate or connect Council Oak Park and the Stickball Park into that plan, but it's really more geared towards the Dreamkeepers Park there. And I think that's kind of where an idea from them came up about having a new district in that part of Tulsa. But the city, has only recently seen these plans that committee put forth, and they have, pretty much have said that they are not they don't have funding, but they like that they have, those designs, and that they could probably get permission from the city to go forward if that committee had the funding to do it themselves. So
it would seem like that would naturally come around. I sometimes get a little frustrated saying they're going to spend all this time and energy on Route 66. Big deal, it's a highway. But why not invest in our community like that? I mean, time and attention, perhaps a co-management agreement or something like that. Galen, tell me, has this subject ever been discussed in council?
No, not the Council Oak discussion. It's never been discussed. The only thing that I was aware of is the monuments that we do have, like the fire, and the things that we do have that tells the story of the Council Oak. I know those that needs repaired, and this discussion of getting it back to the nation. That's something that I think it should be on the table.
Sure, it's already reservation.
Yeah.
Why not mark it off as something really special? Well, let's hope that perhaps a bill will show up.
Yes, sir.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's we were talking about a while ago. It's the Council Oak is it's not in the history books. We just learned from it, from oral history. From our family. From our elders, from our family, and being newly elected here and going on my second year. And I just want to thank the Cultural Preservation Department for asking me to MC that event last year, and I'm honored to do it again this year. It's really great to see all the Mikos and everybody from not just our ceremonial ground, but from our churches in the surrounding area, the people that come out that know about this tree, and to me last year. It was kind of cold a little bit, but the sun was out. We had a good day, and there was a lot of people there. I was surprised that was I guess you could say non-Indians, non-Mvskoke people that was there, but we did have a lot of Mvskoke people that was representative, and to hear the Mikos talk about the council oak tree. That's something in itself. I mean, you like to hear those stories from our leaders, from our ceremonial grounds, and in our churches too. Our elders, because they're the keepers of those stories.
You had a request to share the times, date, and addresses for the ceremony and also the after dinner.
Sure. The council oak tree ceremony will take place at the Stickball Park across from the Council Oak Park on Saturday, November 4th at 2 p.m. The Creek Nation Council Oak Park is located at 1750 South Cheyenne Avenue in Tulsa. We're going to have the dinner at 4 p.m. at the Council Oak Comprehensive Health Care there off of 81st Street. It's located at 10109 East 79th Street, Tulsa. And we usually have it at the Tulsa Indian community, but Saturday is an election day. And so don't forget to vote. But also the community center was booked up, so we weren't able to reserve that location. But we're going to eat in the cafeteria at the new Council Oak Comprehensive Health Care facility. And also there's the new exhibits there that was mentioned in the chat about Kenneth Johnson designed an exhibit in the outdoor patio of the hospital, and so it'll be great for people to see that too. And we're gonna have Loop Square cater our meal.
Oh boy.
So we're gonna have barbecue.
Okay. And fry bread.
Cornbread.
Cornbread. Okay, I'll take it.
We like to have a traditional meal, but we just couldn't get a kitchen reserved, unfortunately. But we'll get back to having a good meal next year.
Yeah, fry bread's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Not having made any, but.
And it is Bedlam too, so there's a lot going on Saturday.
Oh my, yes. Now, what's the future look like? Are you aware of any activities, or what will the next step be that hasn't been taken perhaps, or might be in the formulation? Anybody thinking about it?
Well, from our discussion today, I think a discussion with the city of Tulsa is in the plans. I mean, it has to be in the future for the Mvskoke Nation if we want that park, and I know that we want that park. I mean, it's like I said earlier. I mean, we're the caretakers, and we should be the ones taking care of that tree, of that property, and it should be us. And so I think as for me, I would push forward into seeing if we can get that property, if we can get that to the Mvskoke Creek Nation.
Would that land have to be put in trust?
I don't think it would have to be. I mean, even in fee, even if we,
That was one of the
would
things
be,
that,
we may
I
have to
think
pay
maybe
taxes on it, but I think we could put it in trust for cultural preservation.
Well, if you throw the possibility of tax revenue in front of the mayor, maybe it might be a little more amenable to the thought. As our discussion has been going, we're kind of at the point where I think, what are the reactions you've been seeing, perhaps, from the people who attend this ceremony? You mentioned a lot of Mvskoke elders, of course, little kids, and our community neighbors. Are there any kinds of incidents or anything like that? Any occurrences that come to mind that you stick in your mind about the ongoing ceremony there, or how it affected someone, or even yourself?
You know, I know from meeting with the neighborhood, they didn't know it was open to everybody. So they're kind of watching through their windows. They said, "You can come, please come on out," you know. And so I think that there maybe was a misconception that it was a private event or something like that. But we welcome everybody. It's open to the public. We will have about 100 chairs, so you might want to bring your own chair.
And powwow chairs,
you know, the parking too. They just built a new hotel there, and so they've kind of taken over that big parking lot that was by the Council Oak Park, and they've been selling out every night, I heard. So I think it might be challenging to find some parking, but there's still some around. But we'll make do the best we can.
Okay. See if you can work out something with the Tulsa PD. I think. Give us a break and let us park in that no parking zone.
We had a question pop up, guys. How will the Okmulgee Mounds National Park process be something that could be replicated with Council Oak? I think what they're asking is that could we do the same process that happened with the Okmulgee Mounds with the Council Oak? And whoever wants to field that.
So, you know, with the Okmulgee Mounds, it first became a national monument, was the first step, and that's a presidential action. So I think, you know, we could urge or start a campaign to have the Council Oak tree listed as a national monument. That would receive a designation under the National Park Service, which would provide federal funding to help protect it and take care of it, and be an official, NPS affiliate destination and park. And so that could be one strategy. I know for the Greenwood district, that's something that they're looking at doing in downtown Tulsa, is making that a monument, a national monument, which is a designation, again, that the president can make. And so that's something that we could be considered. That'd be the first step to actually make it a national park, is to have a monument status. Then you could expand how Okmulgee National Park now is Okmulgee Mounds National Historical Park, and that was an expansion, but we're trying to get it to be a national park and preserve, which is like the same status as like the Grand Canyon, and that's the like top tier type of designation where
I'd like to see that. Having the Smokies patrol the thing.
But that is a very small piece of land. And even if we incorporate the Stickball Park into that, it might be one of the smallest national parks there is.
That's fine with me.
But that would be fine, yeah.
Another piece of land going back to the tribe.
Yeah, it's not even an acre.
It's not even an acre, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was.
Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap this one up, but what I'd like to do is, if you all have some final thoughts about the tree and the ceremonies, or what your heart tells you, please go ahead.
Go ahead, really.
This is a special event and day, and really just to reflect on the survivors of the Trail of Tears and the impact that our ancestors have had on our community. Tulsa wouldn't be there today if we didn't have our folks living there and people wanting to interact and trade and gather. The first gathering place in that area, on that bend of the Arkansas River, and how special that is, and how Lojaboga eventually moves south. It becomes too big of a community, and not enough privacy to continue traditional way of life, and and allotments being lost, and we know that there's history of that fire being moved down to or connected to New Tulsa, which is a fitting name, right? Growing up, I remember we would go out to New Tulsa grounds, and I would say, "This is nowhere near Tulsa."
Yeah, isn't that
This
nice?
is the furthest from Tulsa. Why did they call it that? Later on realizing that there was, that connection to Lojaboga in Tulsa. But
Yeah.
And really just to really respect and honor our current traditional leadership. Without their dedication and sacrifice, that way of life would be gone, have already passed. In some instances it has, but we got to work hard every day and support them and help them to continue on. So that's what I think about.
Excuse me here. Galen, I should get rid of this coffee, but I got to do. Galen, your
Wow.
final thought?
Well, I'd just like to echo that. It's more than a tree. When you see that, it's your emotions just kind of take over. And like we was talking earlier, when you stand there and you're looking at the tree, you're just wondering how many elders have stood there and talked to that tree, or maybe gave prayers to that tree for the Mvskoke people. When we first got here, it's like RaeLynn said, it was a gathering place. When our elders got here, the ashes were put there, the fire was restarted. So that tree had absorbed all of that, and you see it as strong as it was as the first day as our elders laid eyes on it, and it's just the same way as we are today. We're stronger than ever. Our fires are is burning as bright as that fire was on top of that hill, and so that's a hope. That's a promise that we have to keep things that our elders laid down for us. We have to keep it going, and that oak tree symbolizes so much for us, and we hope to preserve it, and one day, hopefully, the Mvskoke Creek Nation will be ours. It is ours, but the land and everything comes with it. So that's our hope.
We have a chance then to experience our living history.
Mm-hmm.
It was there when the first Mvskoke showed, and still there in spite of everything, including Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the ceremony once again is Saturday, November the 4th at 2 p.m. That's the Creek Nation Council Oak Park at 1750 South Cheyenne in Tulsa, with a dinner to follow at 4 p.m. at the Council Oak Comprehensive Health Care Center. Let's see, 10109 East 79th in Tulsa. So thank you all for being with us today. We appreciate your discussion and insights.
Thank you, Gary.
Mado.
Okay.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for
RaeLynn.
watching.